Hello, Century 21 Homestar agents. This is your broker, Tony Geraci, and today I'm going to talk to you about buyer presentations and a little objection handling when presenting a buyer's agency agreement. Now, please always book times with me. We could go over this one-on-one, a little bit of role playing, getting to your specific questions. But I wanted to make a video that any of our agents could view at any time, even at midnight on a Sunday, if they're about to get ready for a presentation. So first, on our office website, homestaroffice.com, and you hit documents, this buyer presentation should be on there. And it's a basic buyer presentation about things that agents at Century 21 can do for buyers. It's several pages long and also has two other things I added to it. One, our Century 21 21-point pledge that we give to buyers, 21 things as Century 21 agents we give to buyers. And then I put a big list together of 132 things buyers agents do for their buyers, or at least things that you possibly can do or will be doing throughout that process to show even more value. Because every time I talk to an agent, tell me all the things you do for buyers when you're their buyer's agent, from the time you start talking with them to the time you get to closing. And you can't even remember like 5% of all of the things that you do. You just know you do a lot. So I wrote a lot of those down in there too. So please check out that buyer's presentation. Also, you could create your own customized one on 21 Online in MoxieWorks. Debbie could help you with that if you want to book times with Debbie, or go on to 21 Online, look under MoxieWorks, look for buyer presentations, and you could create your own. And there's also self-paced class on there on 21 Online in our university. Also, there's some videos and tutorials on that too. So there's different avenues for that. But in that presentation, it'll help you give value. But also in this short video, I don't want to take up an hour of your time, but I wanted to give you some basic objection handling that some agents are concerned about when they present a buyer's offer. And some of the questions are, and I'm just going to go through them one at a time. Like one is, what should I tell a buyer of why they should sign a buyer agreement with you? Well, number one, now it's required. So if any buyer asks you, saying it's required by our rules, all realtors have to abide by the same rules. We all have to have you sign some type of an agreement. Could be for a day, it could be for a month, it could be for a year. What the compensation is all negotiable between agents, but it has to sign one. And then, of course, sometimes agents say, well, what happens if there's another agent that doesn't? Well, my opinion is, and part of why I made this video is to give you these tips of place doubt in that buyer's mind. Why would you want to go with an agent that doesn't abide by the rules and follow the rules? And also, I'm making this video on August 13th, 2024, depending upon when you watch it. But very soon, the state of Ohio is going to make it a license law. So it's coming right around the corner. So by the time you watch us, you might be watching this way past August 13th, and it might be a law already. So now it's a law. So whenever that happens, and it's going to happen, we've already seen the bill. Our attorney sent it to us. It's in the process, waiting for the final stamp to make it a law. If a buyer's agent doesn't have a buyer sign some type of buyer's agency agreement, or buyer compensation agreement before showing properties, are breaking license law. And if someone says, well, why do I sign? Because we all have to. It's the law. And if they don't, why would you trust going to an agent that's breaking the law from the start? Also, some objections agents have, or they feel that buyers will have, is that why should I sign an agreement with you and guarantee that I have to pay you? That's the next thing. Buyers in our buyers agreement. So this video is just about a little objection handling, because I have two other videos that go over our two buyers agreements that we promote. One is the Ohio Association of Realtors Buyers Agreement, which is about 4 pages long. It's very comprehensive. It's got a lot of information, protects you the most. And I also came up with one that's Just a simpler one-page form that really promotes to buyers that they could have sellers pay for the buyer's agent. They want to make it clear to buyers. So I have a shorter form and one that's highlighted and shows them that buyers don't have to pay their agent out of their own pocket if they don't want to. But again, that information is in those videos. But today is objection handling. So, or this video. So the objection to agent is any buyer says, "Well, I don't want to sign anything that says I have to pay you." No problem. You legally have to sign an agreement with me, but we could make sure it's written in here that you don't pay me, that we could have someone, the seller pay me, you could have a third party pay me. You as a buyer don't have to pay me out of your pocket. You as a buyer just have to guarantee that somebody pays me, and you get to decide who. Does that make sense? So very quick, if a buyer says, "Why should I sign an agreement?" It's legally required. Why should I guarantee you, and why should I pay you? You don't have to pay me. You just have to make sure somebody pays me. Those are usually the first two objections people have. Other things, a third objection some have is, why would I have a seller pay you and pay more for the house? Oh, I love this one. So pay attention. If you have a buyer that actually thinks that hiring you and having the seller pay you, that will increase the price of the house, I say it's 99.9% false. Why do you say that, Tony? Example. Right now, if there's a seller selling their house for, we'll say, $250,000, how do you think they came up with that price? Other sales in their area. And other sales in their area say, let's just make it easy math. $250,000, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath colonial in a big neighborhood with many streets, but all built within a few years of each other. Same house, just different colors and and landscaping, but basically almost the same house. Neighborhoods like this. If everybody sold their house around 250,000 and used an agent and had a buyer's agent in the past, we'll just say this is the new style, the new way where some sellers might think they don't have to pay buyer's agents anymore. You would tell a buyer, listen, if that seller is going to sell their house for $250,000, just like every other house, they're thinking is they're trying to get it cheaper and not pay an agent. If I come in, that house is still $250,000. If we negotiate with them that they still pay us, like all of the other sales that happened before them, they paid both agents. It's the same net price to the seller. Why would a buyer want to let that seller get that extra percentage? We'll just throw out 3% and not pay a buyer's agent. Will there be sellers out there trying to do that? Yeah, they're like, great. My next door neighbor sold their house a year ago, used an agent, buyer's agent, sold for 250. I'm going to sell my house for 252 or 250 also, and save that money and make extra money. So buyers, why would you let the sellers make more money when all the other houses are there? I even tell buyers, sometimes there's for sale by owners. I've had this happen. I've had friends and family call me, said, "Hey, I'm buying this house from a friend, a neighbor, for sale by owner, someone I know. What do you think the value is?" I go, "Well, the house is 250 because their neighbor sold, but you're buying it directly from them, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "Well, they don't have to pay an agent. Go less than 250. You should get the wholesale value. Why should the next door neighbor get 250 for his house, and they paid two sides of a realtor, and then there's the house that doesn't use a realtor? Will they take less? Would you go in there as a buyer and go, hey, your house is not worth 250 because they use agent. You're not. What is that seller going to say? No, 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 no. I want, still want 250 because that's what the value is. So what do I tell buyers? Then use me. Call me. I'll write up the offer. I'll help you out. I'll help you buy, but it's still 250, but they're paying me. We're not going to raise it higher than 250 because your neighbor didn't. So hopefully that makes sense. But of course, get a hold of me directly. I could go over this concept, explaining values. Also, two, third or fourth, round four, is sometimes buyers say, hey, well, I don't want to overpay for a house. I think like just in case they think, well, okay, say the seller goes up, you know, raises the price a little bit to cover their agent, my fees for you as a buyer. Do you think you'll overpay? I could guarantee 100% you're not, we will overpay for this house. I go, how can you guarantee that? Well, very simple. You're getting a mortgage. Your mortgage company or bank is going to hire an independent appraiser. No one knows who these people are, an independent appraiser, and they're going to come out and appraise your house. Guess what? If they don't appraise it for the price you buy it for and say that's the value, you don't have to buy the house if it comes in lower. We're not writing in here that you have to buy this house, even if the value comes in lower, and we could go in there. And if the value comes in lower, great, you get out of the transaction, or we renegotiate with the seller, say, hey, your value is not there. Come on down. And we'll try to renegotiate. Can't guarantee that, but I guarantee any buyer getting a mortgage or getting a mortgage and not putting a appraisal waiver addendum in there or saying that it doesn't matter what the value is, they're still going to buy the house. There's ones out there, you might, if you're watching this, there's some sellers and listing agents that know they're selling their house higher than the value. They just flat out say it. We need an appraisal waiver because they know the value is way over what the real value, the sale price is going to be over the value, real value of that property or appraised value. And they want people to buy it even though the appraised value is not going to be there. But we, with our buyers, we could guarantee them, no, we're not writing that in there. And if you're buying a house for 250 and the value is really 240, the appraisal come in at 240. But hey, if the appraisal comes in, you got a good deal. You got right head on. So that's not an exact science. So that's again, how can I don't want to overpay. You're gonna get an appraisal on that. So next, some buyers say, well, I think maybe I'll just go directly to the listing agent because I'm going to save some money. Why would I guarantee you getting paid? I'll go through the listing agent and it'll be cheaper. This is very confusing to the public. So you get a hold of me if you want to discuss this and how to say it exactly is this too. A couple things I say to a buyer says, well, I'm going to go through the listing agent directly. Number one of that point is that now you 100% don't know how much the listing agent's going to get paid. Because in many companies, the listing agent is now going to get paid more than they would if you had a buyer's agent. Do you follow me? So explaining to a buyer, listen, if you go to the listing agent directly, let's throw out a number. You think that percentages, just throwing out percent. You think that listing agent is just going to get paid their side, and then if you come in without an agent, it's kind of like it's less cost to the seller, so you'll get it cheaper. That's not the case. Even in our listing agreements, have in there where you as an agent, which we suggest and should, and again, I'll get into those videos with listings. If you have an unrepresented buyer, you charge the seller more because it's double the work, double the liability, double, everything. You have to do everything a buyer's agent does from the time of showing the property and on, and you could charge more. So I tell buyers, you don't automatically get it cheaper but now you don't know. There's no disclosure. You have no idea how much more the listing agent is charging the seller because they don't have to disclose that to you because you don't have an agent. You're not going to get it cheaper. Secondly, to agents, you're unrepresented. I know, I would say this to any buyer, no, you think you're educated. I think you know that you're doing your own research, but you don't have as much data. You don't have as much experience than we do. You're going in representing yourself. And that listing agent's job, no matter how nice that person is, their job is to get the seller the highest price and the lowest cost. And you have to be like an attorney, read through your contract because it could have in there, which could is totally legal to do. All of a sudden, you don't find out till closing if you didn't read every line that now you're paying closing costs for the seller. You're paying a higher price closing costs for the seller because the agent knew that you don't have any representation. You don't know what's typical. Everything's negotiable, let's put it that way. But what's typical? Because as agents, if you've been through the state of Ohio purchase agreement that we recommend, or the division slash Ohio Association of Realtors purchase agreement, there are fields of buyer pays these closing costs, seller pays these closing costs. The job of the listing agent is to try to convince the buyer to pay more costs and pay a higher price. That's their job. It's all negotiable, but what they're going to do, they have a buyer pay as much as closing costs for the seller and the highest price they could possibly get for the seller and convince the buyer of this. Now, there's debate. There's like, are you gouging the buyer? No, you're within reason. Your job is to look out for the seller, get the best price and the best terms at the lowest cost. And if that buyer's coming in unrepresented, they could be quote unquote taken advantage of. So I would say that to a potential buyer. Why would you put yourself in that position of maybe getting taken advantage of and end up you would paying more for the house and paying more costs when you could have just had an agent that you don't have to guarantee you have to pay them out of pocket, just make sure the seller pays them or someone else pays you, that someone pays them the fee that is totally negotiable too to represent you and look out for your best interests. And their job is to get you the lowest cost and the best price on the house and the best terms. You know, that it's simple as that. They should not go into a house. The public thinking going to the listing agent directly is going to be cheaper and easier is false. And as buyers agents out there, we should be promoting that they should get representation. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with telling the public you should have your own representation. Now, the dollar amount and the terms of what that cost is, that's negotiable. Every agent has their cost, companies have their cost. You are negotiating that, but I don't think anybody could dispute that having your own representative, your own side of a professional on your side to help look out for your best interest, anybody would dispute that. The only time they dispute it is that when there's a cost to it and don't want to pay for it, right? That's it. Anytime I said, would you do this if it was for free? And they go, oh, hell, yeah, I'd do that for free. It can be free. It can actually make you money. How can do that? I can get you. You never know. I mean, I know there's no way to 100% know, but there's someone's going to fight for you to get you the best price as a buyer and the best cost and the best terms. And in theory, you don't know this, that they, as a seller, or if you did it on your own, that you might be paying way more than you would have if you would have had your own agent. This is exact reverse theory of why sellers use agents. 95% of people use an agent to sell your house. No one needs 100% needs an agent to sell a home. We all know sellers could sell their homes themselves, especially in today's day and age, the technology, the websites, they could anytime I talk to a seller, you don't need me to sell your house. Quick listing presentation. I say to anybody that I run into, like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about selling a house. Do you think I need an agent? Oh yeah, you don't need me to sell a house. No, they like, really? No, you need me if you want to guarantee you're getting the highest price and the best terms and the lowest costs. A little bit of greed in there. That's why sellers, number one reason I feel most often sellers use realtors because they're greedy. They want the highest price, the best terms, and the lowest cost, and someone fighting for that. The buyer should have the same thing. So hopefully some of those things, a little objection handling. I want to give you, quick, well, that wasn't too quick of a video to go over a little things of a buyer presentation. Go find it, review it, something you could give to people. Some quick objection handling of the top 4 or 5 things why buyers say, oh, you don't, I don't feel like signing an agreement with you, and the things that you could say. But again, I'm here for you forever. So anytime you're about to meet or talk to a buyer, you have the appointment set up, not, you're like, okay, Tony, I need to talk to you. I'll get on my calendar, tonytalk.net, for like tonight, tomorrow, whatever the day is. The day before you're about to meet, we'll brainstorm, we'll role play a little bit, we'll go over things to say before you sign those contracts, because they're required. They are a good thing. I'm so happy it's required, and I promise you, and we could discuss the situation, what type of buyer, price range, how quickly they want to buy, how committed they will be to you. Then we could come up with what your compensation, we think that compensation should be for you. And I promise you, I have a lot of agents that are going to be making more money per transaction after this change than they ever did before. I've talked with them, I've coached them, they are ready, they are excited, and to make more money per transaction than they ever been before, and they're excited about it. I want to make sure you're excited about it. All right, that's it for this video, and keep watching. Have a great day, and I hope to talk to many of you very soon. Bye-bye.